Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Snapchat. Today I'm joined by first-time guest Patrick Mahomes. Patrick, congratulations on your win against Burrow and the Bengals. How are you today, my friend?
People are going to get confused because they thought I was a Patriots fan. I am a Patriots fan. However, long story short, I've been following Patrick since high school days, and really good cat. Played at my college, and I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy as well. But doing good, buddy. Couldn't be happier. Battle mode is out. We've got pool series cards that have dropped, and it's just exciting to open up to all players, more options, and good ones at that. Battle mode has just been more fun than I could have possibly imagined. And then we have a huge season up ahead, which is all the topics that we talked about on my side, just all exciting.
Yeah, and today on our channel here, we're going to be discussing how Wolverine got buffed and some best decks to be trying with Wolverine to get you started with his newly buffed iconic character. We also have, I shouldn't say character, Wolverine's a hero. He's a hero. I should watch my damn mouth. Also, we're going to talk about the leader nerf and if Zabu and Silver Surfer might be next. And then we're going to talk about setting Marvel Snap goals, which I think is super important for kind of like engaging with the game in a very healthy way. Wolverine. Cozy, tell me, how excited were you when we were absolutely vindicated with the buff of Wolverine? We have talked about Wolverine so many damn times. In fact, the last conversation we had about buffs and nerfs, which I think was like a week or two ago, you literally told me before we went live, you're like, Alex, don't bring up Wolverine. He's not getting buffed. We talk about Wolverine every single week, and just don't bring it up. It's too much heartbreak. And you know what, Cozy? We didn't bring it up. And then the gods looked down. They said, it's time the Wolverine gets some love.
The only show notes we ever do, guys, is like, hey, we probably shouldn't bring up Arrow or America Chop. We like, because there's
Devil
ones that
Dinosaur.
we do love. Devil, yeah, and Wolverine was one that we always talked about getting buffed, and we kind of let go of it. And not only do I love just the buff that he's viable, right, but by far one of my favorite things about it in general is, my gosh, dude, it's a perfect callback to the hero of Wolverine, man, being regenerated and just being this strong. He doesn't come back the same. I don't know if he comes back stronger, in the lore, but he just comes back with this regeneration, and it just feels so much better to the iconicness of the character.
Yeah, and I even love the fact that they changed the text to reflect that. Like, they literally are using lore-specific text. That is what we need in this game. We need to embrace the Marvel IP to its fullest extent, and it is absolutely god tier. I loved it, and the whole change was beautiful. And I mean, it's crazy because like I'd been playing Wolverine before,
Yeah.
and he kind of sucked. But there were some things that he did that I really liked. Like, for instance, bring up the deck list that we're going to talk about first. It is a Pool 3 exclusive deck list. And for the audio viewers, I'll give you an idea of what's in it as well. We got the Hood, we've got Yondu, we got Bucky Barnes, which naturally works wonderfully with the next card, Carnage. You also have Wolverine. Now keep in mind here, Wolverine, Carnage is going to work well with Venom. Killmonger, not so much with the Wolverine, but great for the Hood. You got Wave, which is key for your Arrow, Arrow, She-Hulk, and Death combination. And then you have Deathlock. But this deck list works really well because you have options on turn 2. You can play the Bucky Barnes, you can play Wolverine, and then you can play the Carnage on top, regenerate that additional value, follow up with the Deathlock, follow up with the Venom, and you're creating this incredible landscape of just additional growing power. And one of the things that I think works really well here is Wolverine gives Destroy a definite early and mid game. It's not just about the death closer anymore. Wolverine gives you an opportunity to own the mid game, which I think is key for Destroy lists.
Yeah, and outside of one lane too, right? So the Bucky Barn and Carnage combo has been that staple for so long. And then usually your opponent just like avoids that lane. And what feels great, and I think one of my favorite things about Wolverine, is that it feels like he doesn't completely replace Deadpool. So it keeps Deadpool in that same kind of doubling field, and he doesn't just outclass him outright. And you don't get to pick the location. So you have this kind of monster powering up that you hope is going to go in that one location that you need him to go in. And you can continue to build him up over the course of the battle. Also love, just side note, we can have She-Hulk in these Pool 3 only decks now. Just feels fantastic altogether. And Absorbing Man can copy Killmonger, Venom, and these other cards. I love, Alex, specifically that you've got Venom in the deck, because I think Venom is now getting a huge boost because of Wolverine. A massive boost at that, right? Because you eat him, and then he just goes to another location.
Yeah, and gets buffed as well. And all the buffs you've been applying to that Wolverine get fed into the Venom, which is great, right? So all that work you've done into feeding that Wolverine is great. There could be an argument to even including something like Deadpool in this list, which is a possible substitution if you have it as well. You can even use Squirrel Girl if you don't have like the hood and you want to kind of feed more for that death machine that is so popular. But like honestly, Wolverine, it has a whole new identity. And the thing I really love about this buff, it wasn't just like Wolverine's a 2/4 or whatever. This was like a complete reimagining of what the card is. It's legitimately more lore specific. It fits the iconic character and what he does, and it just makes the entire card better. And can we hope for something like this for Cyclops maybe? Like,
Yeah.
Does it give us hope?
I prefer 2 cards getting a massive ability change than 7 cards getting a stat up. No question about it. It changes the deck. It changes archetypes, and that's what I love. Specifically, Alex, I have been using Wolverine in Galactus, and obviously Galactus, not everyone has either, and I get that. And he found his home there regardless. He was kind of fitting in there as well. And once you guys have Noel, who will be in the next series drop, probably down to pool 4, Noel is he's loving Wolverine dying. He's absolutely loving it, and you could slot him in this deck as well. So he works for people that have a more exclusive kind of pool 4 and 5 cards. And then, as you're showing right here, perfect slot for pool 3. And best of all, Alex, and I think this is, we can both say this, I love new players in Marvel Snap. I don't want them to be forgotten. I know us YouTubers are usually making pool 3 content nowadays. However, pool 1, having Wolverine, destroy decks were gone in pool 1, and now you at least have something to scale up.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I was thinking back about that, but like I kind of revisit some of my old content every once in a while and watch it to see, where I've come as a creator and where the game has come as well. A lot of those lists had Uatu, man. I was a huge Uatu believer at the time, and you know what? I still think Uatu is a great card. Possible buff for Uatu, by the way. Every time I talked about the destroy decks for pool 1, I was like, hey guys, let's talk about pool 1 destroy because this is what you guys want to see. This deck might suck because Destroy kind of sucks in pool 1 and Wolverine is awful, and that all changes now because Wolverine is a legitimately viable card. Like, that is so exciting. There's actual play patterns you can use. Oh man, it changes everything. And now like Zoo isn't the de facto deck for pool 1 anymore. Like, this is a huge change.
It's a huge change, Alex, because the problem with it is you were waiting for Bucky Barnes in pool 2. That was what you were waiting for. You needed a card that needed to be destroyed, and that was the issue. And then you're still waiting for Death. And then you're still waiting for Deadpool, cards that boost up when they get destroyed. But Carnage and Deathlock are both pool 1 cards, so you can make it's still going to be a little weird, and you're probably going to still have Colossus in there and whatever, but it does work, and that's what's exciting. And with battle mode, I think we're going to get more new players into the game. So again, I think discard, all of these needed something to help it in pool 1 and 2, and Destroy just got theirs for the newer players and late game players.
You know what I would really like for us to do? I would like for us to go 1v1 in battle mode. I want you just to put Wolverine on the board, and I want to Gambit Exodia the Wolverine and see if we can break the game.
Oh my gosh, it'd be fantastic.
Just watch him bounce around over and over again.
So good. That's going to be, we're going to do Thanos and that. That's going to be our 2 battle modes that we have to finally prove. And then probably the Battle of the A's, man. We'll have Arrow versus America Chavez, our lady battles, our wives. Yeah, it'd be fantastic. So yeah, Wolverine, man, love it. Do you have anything else on the man himself?
Yeah, there's another deck list as well, if you don't mind trying to pull up here. This is one that we referenced a little earlier. You have so many, you're always at 20 decks every single time. You're always maxed out at 20 decks.
I'm testing nonstop.
You're out of control. You're wearing a Chiefs jersey. You got 20 decks going. One of these days, right, we're gonna have to get you a Blue Bills jersey.
Alex,
don't make that face. Come on.
I'll sooner delete my channel. Hand of God. I'll delete. Cozy Snap will be sent to the ether before I wear a Josh Allen jersey.
I'd say Josh Allen, but I can send you one. Anyways, before Cozy gets too upset to continue, and everyone else for that matter, because once again it's the Marvel football cast. I mean, it is the playoffs. Here I am.
Come on now,
Alex. No more football. Okay, this next deck list, I actually really like it here. So what we've got here for the audio viewers, we've got Morbius, Wolverine. Those are your 2 drops. Followed by Zabu. So yes, we're paying to win here. We got Moon Knight and Lady Sif as well, with Swordmaster and Dracula. Wong, because I love Wong. I'm going to throw Wong in anytime I can. And we got the Absorbing Man, a recently demoted, or you could say buffed card in Pool 3, because now you get to actually play him. How exciting is that? I didn't actually get buffed for the record, but just being able to play him, I guess, is a buff. You got Hell Cow again. That Hell Cow Absorbing Man combo we talked about earlier. There it is, and Apocalypse with America Chavez because she's in the list. Now, the reason why this list works so well, there's a couple flex slots as well because I know y'all love the flex slots. So you see that Moon Knight right there? I love the disruption because when you Wong into Moon Knight and you disrupt, Brood, Silver Surfer, and they just leave, it is a very, very good feeling. The other side to it as well is that if you don't want to play Moon Knight, you can play Gambit instead. It's a very natural switcheroo. It plays the exact same role almost, except you're just blowing up stuff on their deck while continually discarding. I do like Wong in this list. Once again, Wong, Absorbing Man, do not play them on top of each other. The effect doesn't work that way. But essentially what you're doing here is you're playing Morbius, and then you're using Zabu to give you access to Dracula, Wong, and Absorbing Man and Hell Cow as like an ultimate turn 4 power play. And as you discard your cards and you blow up your hand over and over again, you're always drawing something that you can play. And the amazing thing about that is your Apocalypse is going to run up. Your Dracula is going to have a beautiful choice. I can either discard Apocalypse or discard Apocalypse because you've basically cleared your hand with Absorbing Man and Hell Cow. Turn 6, you play the Chavez down, and it guarantees the additional +4 on Apocalypse because your Dracula is going to hit it. And the nice thing about Dracula is that'll sit in a lane and just make your opponent sweat. So I really do like this list. And of course, why Wolverine though, Alex? Why is Wolverine in there? Well, the nice thing about Wolverine here, and the reason why I used it was because I played Wolverine not on turn 2. I would play Morbius on turn 2. I would just hold Wolverine. Just hold him. Why would I hold him? Why? Because you might think, Alex, you discard him once, he's a 2/4. Wow. Wow, Alex, 2/4. Big clap. Good job. But the nice thing about Wolverine here is when he gets discarded, he's actually effectively a 2/6 because your boy Morbius gets a +2 as well. You're always emptying your hand. You're always emptying your hand with Hell Cow and Absorbing Man. So he's actually a 2/6 here because the Morbius is getting a +2. Wolverine comes out as 2/4. And I mean, 2/4 is pretty damn solid, right? You got 2/5 on Lizard, except you have that downside. So when you consider that, I see him as a 2/6 in this deck list. It ultimately provides you with a lot of value. And he also is a bit of a counterplay against a lot of the destroy-based lists. You see Altar of Death, you throw Wolverine in there, and you just laugh if you have to laugh because you get to play whatever you want. So that's my take on this list.
Can you tell this man likes Wolverine, guys? I feel like, Alex, you were in your bathroom mirror this morning, and that was like, you were like, that was beautiful. I mean, that was a beautiful testament to why Wolverine is a kick-ass card, and I love it, man. Wolverine, though, you hit the nail there as far as Wolverine, as far as getting discarded. It isn't just a 2/4. You got the 2/6 with Morbius, but also, who cares if it's a 2/4? It's a card that wants to be discarded. That's what you want. Swarm, that, and Apocalypse. You have another option now that makes sense, right?
That's kind of like what I really wanted to knock home. The idea that, like, listen, it's not going to be a 2/45. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be. Like, you don't need to take this card and try and turn it into something it's not.
Yeah.
Let it do its damn job, and it does it in this list. Take 2/4 to 2/6, it's perfect, right?
Yep.
And that's what I love about this list.
Absolutely. Fun card, and I think you did well there saying, too, like, don't get over crazy with trying to scale a card. Don't make a deck all about scaling one card, but it does have that option, which is great. Obviously, he's going to work better in destroy decks, but to have another option in discard, especially in discard season, it's going to be fantastic. Excited about it.
I think Cozy was determined to get my video demonetized with this variant of Wolverine.
Oh, it's spicy.
It is spicy. I didn't really pay attention to it at first, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I think I'm getting demonetized today.
This one is, it's very...
Why do you have the mouse over it like that? That's so awkward.
Listen, I do have to say, too, I don't care what you guys say about pixel variants. I think he has a awesome pixel variant, and he doesn't have a metal square in his nether regions. No, I think Wolverine Pixel might be my favorite from just playing the old school classic side-scrolling X-Men game, even though I was a Cyclops guy.
Sega?
And for that matter, Cyclops was great, too. Yeah, and Arcade. Dreamcast, I think, maybe too. But yeah, Wolverine, man, love it. Let's move on to the most hated man in Marvel Snap, who has finally been brought down to justice. Leader, the cheater. Let's talk about it.
Justice is a nice way to say the guy got murdered.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually tried to play Leader.
I think he's not as bad as we think, but he's definitely
he's
not
garbage, Cozy.
So you think he went from S tier to like F tier?
He went from S tier to M'Baku tier.
Oh, Alex.
Come on, man.
Don't disrespect him.
Okay.
M'Baku?
Yeah, I would rather play M'Baku than leader. I tried to play leader. I actually put leader in one of my
I've got
battle
a new
mode
sound
decks.
clip.
I want to punch my monitor.
That's my new sound clip. I'd rather play. I'm gonna put that in all my streams, and that's my new jet. Here's the thing. Agreed, because he's so weird. He's such a weird. Talk about making a card confusing too. Everyone was like, "Oh, he got nerfed." Wait,
yeah.
What? Like it's odd. For those that are listening,
confusing.
He went from a nerfed 6-3 to a 6-7, and now instead of copying all the cards you play on turn 6, whenever you played them, on reveal, copy all your cards your opponent played to the location right of here, but on your side. I feel like the person that typed that down was like, "Hey Ben, is this good? Like, this is my 17th redraft of writing this down. It is an awkward statement. There's only one place I really enjoy him, and you have to now play him with a control aspect." With leader in general. So I think he's probably knocked down to not going to be used tier, which could also make him, I guess, relevant because people won't, expect him. You have to fill up your opponent's lane, or at least one of them, to make it at least semi, or win that lane to make it semi-valuable. I do think Shuri has a place with him. I mean, Shuri has a place with every card, but having a 14 play now and then being able to copy it if you do predict well. But dude, it's like, why gamble? Why gamble that? You know what I mean?
I can't believe you put that much effort into talking about leader right now, because this card's an absolute dumpster fire. Like, I tried to play. First of all, the verbiage is so awkward. Okay, so when I played it the first time, listen, I make content for this game. I read the card. Cozy, I'm not making this up. I read the card and I was like, okay, so when I play the card, I'm assuming it's just going to copy everything and just push it to the right lane, kind of like Sentry does, right? Sense the voice. No, that's not what it does. You have to guess that they're gonna play in the right lane relative to where leader is, and then it'll copy. What?
Yeah. The
Come
lane
on.
cards. The
There's
lane
no
cards
way
are bad.
That was intuitive.
The Sentry lane cards are just not that great. They're just not. They're weird, man. They're clunky. And to me, again, he feels like if you shut something off with Storm early, he fits more into a control-ish field. But you just commit, dude. There's no reason to. He's awkward, man. He's super awkward at this point. And you know what, though? This is what I will say about this. And I said this in my video when I made it about the balance patch. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a card get pushed to M'Baku tier, as Alex would say. He was justified because of what was happening with the card and because of what it was a copy. Right? It was just it was a bad card. But I don't want to see the community rise up, hate a card, it's out, and it's gone. I think that sucks. But leader was the exception.
Yeah, but at the same time, what happens now? Now you have She-Hulk and Moon Girl going absolutely buck wild, and leader is the fix. Leader was the fix for that, and now it's gone. So yeah. You had leader, which solved a problem, but he created a problem too. But now, what's worse? It's like the greater of two evils. This is worse than we said. I think, okay, we had ideas about playing him on turn 5, making his power weaker. This is a complete massacre of the card.
He's a bit weird. I think in a month from now, when Shuri's dropped even further and everyone can get Shuri, it's going to feel fine in the destroy meta because you can still beat Bayro and 2-Bays a bit more now because you have power. Those decks don't have the power compared to some of the cards we're getting now out there and the combos we're getting out there. But yes, as far as an easy, slap to that combo, it's gone, and it's kind of weird, and it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of shakes up, Alex. That's for sure. Also, Hela, I want to see him in a discard deck, right? You bring him back, what's going to happen there? I don't know. He's going to be very interesting, and he's bound to be definitely not played near as much. I mean, even close to the ballpark. Now, as far as Zabu, this is more important, and I like that they tweeted this. At the same time, I'm like, put this in the patch notes online, because people don't have Twitter, all of them. But there is the game principal designer, which is a role I would never want to have. Talk about stressful, man. Whew, that is props to you, man, if you're listening to this. However, he has stated that Surfer just started overperforming in their metrics, which I'm so curious what those are, because I feel like Surfer's just been body slamming people. And Zabu as well. But guys, the biggest announcement to take out of this, it's much bigger than you think. It's the first of its kind in digital card games, I believe. Is now you don't need a patch for balancing cards. And that is so massive, Alex. So massive. Because now on the fly, if something feels weird, they can get rid of it. And it looks like it's going to happen on a weekly, not weekly, but they can adjust it at the beginning of a week.
They kind of mentioned in one of the tweets that these changes to leader and Wolverine had been locked in weeks in advance. Again, I've said this a million times on this podcast. I am not a game developer. So we kind of take for granted the back end of like what's actually happening on the engineering side of things. We take a lot of things for granted. We're like, why don't they just do this? Why don't they just do that? Well, because there's a reason why they can't just do all this stuff all the
Yeah.
time, right? So obviously there are like considerations from that perspective. But the thing that really like kind of struck me with that, and everyone's like, yes, they can just patch things immediately, and that's a good thing for the team. But also, like, can we just take a second just to understand that, like, we also don't want to just overreact. Oh, and I don't think they will. Second Dinner obviously knows better than we do. Like, let's be honest, right? They're like, we get like worked up over something. We lose a game of Marvel Snap to like a leader play, the old leader play. We're like, damn it, leader's got to go. This is bullcrap. And then like they're like, we're like, get nerf him. We're like tweeting Ben Brode, right? But like with them, they're like, hey, dude, relax. We gotta let this kind of play out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's great that they can update the cards, but we don't want them, and we should not expect them to be like, oh, it's leaders kind of overpowered for a week. Nerf them. We can't
Agreed.
overreact.
I think Wave is probably going to be the next complaint, as it should be, probably, just because it limits your cards. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And Alex, as far as Zabu Surfer, we talked about what we expect them to get nerfed on the last time, so we won't rehash it. I think a 4-cost Zabu could fix that, because then you don't have as many turns to abuse it, and I think Surfer going down to +2, maybe getting a little power, will fix him. Going to be curious. We'll definitely talk about it when it is adjusted, which will probably be on the next week's episode of the Snapchat. That's the timing of it, so that'll be fun to definitely break that down, guys. Alex, Marvel Snap goals. This is something I really want to break down with you because I know it's near and dear to you, and I'm excited because I don't really know what we're talking about. I usually have an idea, but I want you to kind of break this down because this is something that I'm definitely passionate about as far as just goal setting in general. Tell me about this last subject, Alex.
Yeah, so this was something I intentionally kind of left you in the dark with. Like usually, like I kind of give Cozy a bit of a heads up of what we're going to talk about, but this time I'm like, nah, you don't know nothing because I kind of want to get you in the moment here. And I think it's important that we take a moment as all players, like players that love the game, we're all here for one common reason. We have a passion for Marvel Snap. We love this game. And I think it's important that we take a moment to kind of set goals for ourselves and kind of reflect on why we play this game and don't lose sight of the fun and the enjoyment and the community building that really makes this game special. I bring this up because as content creators, Cozy, we get a ton of comments. We get a unique view into what the community is feeling. And one of the things that I feel is people are really, really, really pushing themselves to get to Infinite, that they really want to get to Infinite. They really want to be the highest rank possible. And sometimes I can tell near the end of the season, my comments get a lot more agitated. They get a lot more frustrated. And because people aren't getting there. And the people that are really pushing themselves, first of all, if you're competitive spirited, that's beautiful. You want to have that competitive spirit. But what I think the message here is to make sure you engage with the game in a healthy way. Like I'm an educator by trade. I'm a high school teacher. And one of the things we do is we often allow students and help students set goals for what they want to do academically or for their workplace goals or for where they want to go to university or college or whatever it is. And when they have that clear goal and that framework in mind, they're able to reach more effectively for those goals and take steps to actually achieve them. When you're just trying to reach for the absolute top, the upper echelons of, infinite rank or, whatever it happens to be, that might not be a healthy approach. If you're, for instance, a high school student that needs to be focusing in on their academics or someone who has a full-time job. And so there are things that I think that you can step back and say, you know what is a true, genuine goal? And for a lot of people, Cozy, and this is a conversation I had on Twitch, people are like, you know what, Alex, if I can get to 60 and unlock that free variant, I'm proud. And I think that's a very healthy way to approach the game. Set an achievable goal and work towards that. We don't all have to be infinite players. You don't have to be an infinite player. I don't, and neither do you, Cozy. This game's beautiful. This game's fun. And let's not lose sight of what makes this game beautiful. And that's we can set our own goals and engage with this game in a way that's healthy for each of us.
Expectations, and so just goal setting in general. Expectations bring disappointment, right? Typically. So for a great example, if you want to be a YouTuber, guys, I get asked all the time, what do I do to be a good YouTuber? And I went through trials and errors more than anyone knows. If you look at Mr. Beast and you want to be Mr. Beast and your goal is to be a 1 million sub YouTuber, guess what? Expectations going to be led to disappointment most likely. Instead of, I want to get 10 videos out. Things you can control, right? And so I think Infinite is a different level of that, right? But if you just look at the top and you're like, I want to be that and get to that, you're met with disappointment. So set up more reasonable goals of 70, 80, 90. Now, I will say, I do think it's important for content creators to have a high rank. I'll be honest. If we're going to talk and educate, it is important. Is it everything? I think a lot of Marvel Snap is a time commitment, and that's very, very tough to have versus content creation. But in general, battle mode, Alex, I think is helping this because now it's brought pure fun. Avengers versus Avengers, X-Men versus X-Men. It brings kind of what Marvel's about, and it's going to be exciting and have a different kind of goal, I think, in general. But Alex, you did very well with what you're saying, and I think it could be applied to goals in life. You know, if you're trying to work out and you're a skinny guy, don't say I want to look like Arnold, right? So it's going to be tough. You can do it, I guess. But try to set realistic expectations, or try to, and I say it nicely, but lower them in a good way and in a healthy way, in things that you can control, right? And so this is kind of diverting from Marvel Snap, but I think it ties into Marvel Snap and Infinite Rank, and ultimately, what are you trying to get out of this game? If it's to be sweaty, sweat, man, and go at it and play more and follow your content, whatever. But if it's to enjoy the game, don't worry about your rank too much.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, it's a game that's meant to be enjoyed. It's a game that, is meant to be played. It's supposed to be fun. And I think you bring up a lot of excellent points, specifically with the idea of setting smaller goals that help you kind of create stepping stones to reaching the ultimate goals that you're after. Again, if getting to infinite's your goal, ultimately, perhaps you start off by getting to 60, crafting your own deck that you can fully master and get used to and learn the ins and outs of, so that like you don't have to stumble across, other people's decks and just try to play the meta this, meta that. Maybe you take small steps towards that ultimate goal, and in that process, those mini victories can motivate you to ultimately keep pushing towards that goal you set in the first place. But guys, I wanted to leave this podcast here today with a positive message and say that we appreciate you guys so much. We love you. Every viewer, every listener, every single person that engages with us, we really do value you. And, Marvel Snap is an incredible game, and it's mostly made incredible thanks to you. Without you guys, we're just two guys talking to each other. You guys make everything possible, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for, all the positive support and all the words of encouragement. Cozy, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, man. Just in general, guys, it's exciting to get into this next chapter. What is Marvel Snap for us and for the Snapchat? And again, always thanks for listening. Again, leave that review. I'll drop that. It helps us a ton as creators. And we just value your feedback. I love feedback. I think it's great. I think it's important. And we definitely look at every comment on YouTube and try to grow as creators with it. So that's it for me, man.
Linked in the middle here is, guess what? It's Cozy's video, as it always is. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next version of the Marvel Snapchat.
Bye-bye.